This is Playing Pretend, your creative bestie's favorite podcast, with me, Catherine Rossler. Okay, I'm setting up my camera. I have a different camera this time, people. If you're watching me, you can see that it's different. I still have my old camera, and I did fix the problem on that one, but I got the Osmo Pocket 3 now. And this, people, if you can see, if you're watching the video, this is a prop, this microphone. I actually have a microphone linked on the back just because this one, I feel like it's more, podcasty. Look at my big microphone. And I feel like it's easier to hold. It's more fun, whatever. Okay, so it's been almost a year. It's been almost a full year since I have recorded a podcast episode. I feel like so much has changed. I've grown so much. You've probably grown so much. Oh my God, we have so much to catch up on. I have new thoughts about this podcast and about other art things I'm doing and my health overall. First of all, Playing Pretend, welcome back. Good to see ya. This, I think, is really just going to be my personal journal, my personal diary, so to speak, where I'm giving the solo updates, stream of consciousness stuff. I was at first for a minute, I was like, oh, I'll have interviews on this channel, but I think I want that to make that separate Art Freaks stuff. All right, very specific Art Freaks interviews and Art Freaks little clips. I'd love to do little, there's fluffs on my microphone, little clips, short clips of artist studios and workspaces, and just I forget his name. I think his name is Cody. There's a dude that he does it of people's apartments. And he was hey, show me your apartment. How much does it cost? Can I see it? Apartment tours. And just kind of making it a mini series. I'm really inspired by Emma Rogue and her thrift channel. She does the 1 minute fit challenge. She also does tell me about your fit and how much everything costs, as well as what's one fashion trend that's in and one that's out. And I like those little mini series things. So that's what I think I'm going to do with Art Freaks. I'm is it too bright? I'm just also realizing now that I forgot to put on mascara. I did put on little foundation and a little sparkle, but I forgot mascara. That's fine. Weird. It's weird to talk out loud into a microphone. It's been a while. It's been a minute. But yeah, so that's kind of, I think, what's going to happen here. I think it's going to be a lot more casual. I'm not going to be on a strict schedule or anything. I think I need the freedom with this. I need that freedom. Yeah, but since last summer, August, I had a pretty big crashout in August because I got a sleep mouth guard, and I actually thought it was going to be helpful because supposedly I have sleep apnea. And now honestly I'm skeptical of anything. I wouldn't say I'm not skeptical of the diagnoses, but I realize that some diagnoses are transient. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm oh, they can ebb and flow. I think probably when I first got diagnosed with sleep apnea, I was also having an increase in inflammation and sinus shit. So obviously that made it worse. I don't know if that makes any sense. Anyways, in August I had the sleep mouth guard, and I used it as prescribed, but then it was giving me some TMJ and clicking in my jaw. I was also getting I wouldn't say it was a vertigo, but I was just so dizzy all the time, and it put me back in bed, and I was just what is going on? I think in combination I was doing more Art Freaks events, and I was being more active, so I think that in combination with this new mouth guard was just too much stimulus for my nervous system to handle. And then after that I felt it was winter, and I was having another winter's gonna be hard, there's less sun, I'm outside less, and it was just getting down mentally on myself, but also physically, my symptoms just were not they were not doing great, and I was having a hard time mentally showing up for myself, because I felt at the beginning of 2025 I was really putting myself out there again. I was pursuing all my projects, different projects, my podcast and Art Freaks, and then it just felt it all came crashing and crumbling down. Art Freaks, I think, was good, but it also made me realize, like, that's not something I think I could do long term. And if it is something that becomes long term, it would be more like, it's more of a business than it is even my, than it is fueling my creativity, you know? Like, if I did, like, an art cafe or just, like, these drop-in art classes, like, it is, I also don't think it's really a community. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't think you should have to pay for community. That's my opinion. Like, I think community can be created in it, but, you know, I think I've said this before. I think community is, you know, like, saying hi to your neighbor and, like, helping, or, like, I don't know, if you have excess food, or, like, you make a meal, you know, and sharing that. Anyways, so, yeah, Art Freaks, I think I had a lot of learning from that. And I think, like, doing events is something that would be fun to still have in the future. I just don't know if it's going to exist at the scale that I once thought it would. I mean, maybe in the future I will open, like, a sort of studio, but currently that's not my focus at the moment. Yeah, and then end of December, I think, like, I always get really stressed out during the holidays. And also, yeah, I get stressed out during the holidays. I started to go, like, I just shut myself. I wasn't on the internet. I was offline. I deleted all the apps. I deactivated my Instagram for a while. I just didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be heard. I didn't want to be addicted, because I also found that, like, you know, like, the internet, social media is such a dysregulator for our nervous system. And especially in the state that I've been in, I'm, like, so much more reactive to it. And I think it also just shows me, like, how much we all are. Like, I think it's a nervous system dysregulator for, like, literally everyone, not just me. And so, yeah, I was off the internet. Then around the holidays, I got another, like, some sort of virus or illness. I picked something up. I don't know what it was, but I was so sick in January and February, and I was starting to come out of it in March. It was back to, you know, I couldn't look at, like, lights were way overstimulating, noises. I was, like, probably running a fever, and I was just, like, felt nauseous and dizzy all the time. Like, it was just a struggle to, like, exist. Shout out to my mom for being awesome and helping to take care of me. Finally, I recovered from that. And also during this time, it is July 6th, and I've read almost 50 books this year. I read a lot last year. I think last year in total I read about 50 or 40 something. And this year, I've already read what I read last year. And I've been really into reading books around, I guess, I don't know if you would call it, like, alternative medicine or health. And I've talked about this before probably, but, like, kind of brain, body, health and wellness and healing books. And just, like, kind of trying to learn more about the connection that I have to my body and listening to my body and myself in different ways. Also, I've been doing a lot of therapy. Shout out to my therapists. I have a new therapist this year, and I think, you know, therapists, we have them, like, I think it's like another relationship. Like, you have them for a reason, you have them for a season, maybe you have them for a lifetime. Some people have them for a long time. And now I found a therapist who I think is really kind of aligned in all points that I am. Because sometimes I think with therapy, it can be really difficult if you don't find your match, or you don't find somebody that matches you. Like, you actually have to do therapist shopping. And I've never done that before. I've always kind of, like, been like, oh, okay, I'll go to this one. And then I stick with them for a while. But you kind of need to, like, for lack of a better term, date therapists. Like, you need to, or, like, you're hiring somebody, right? Like, you are hiring somebody to help you in the way that you best see fit. And everybody is going to have different tools and is going to show up in different ways. But you kind of need to navigate that in your own way. And this time I went, like, I think I saw upwards of 7 different people, and, like, had because sometimes they'll do, like, a little consult, took notes, and then I tried 2 or 3 in different sessions before I picked the one I have now. And the one I have now, I feel like she's aligned with me in a spiritual sense, as well as the psychological sense, and this kind of, like, mind-body work that I've been getting into. Also, I just want to recognize this is, like, a privilege to have all these resources. And I think I'm really grateful that I can do these things, that I have a supportive family and I have the money to pay for this, because it's expensive and not everybody has that. Not a lot of people, like with chronic illness and just like illness in general, or who are struggling, can't access these resources. So I feel like I'm doing my own due diligence, because I really believe like in order to heal the world, we have to heal ourselves. And I think by like me learning that about all this is something that hopefully I can share my experience, because, you know, I'm not an expert and I don't believe that my way is the right way. It's just like one way, because everybody that I've learned from has been on their own journeys as well. And I think you kind of need to, like, as with life in general, like you need to take what works for you and then leave the rest. And I think it's like a constant learning, a constant journey with therapy, with self-introspection, with growth, you know. And yeah, so I've done a lot of reading, I've done a lot of therapy. I guess this is like a summary of like the last year, and I'll probably go into depths because I really want to talk more specifically about long COVID, chronic illness, and like the mind-body connection and addiction and like sobriety, because I feel like it's all connected. Like one thing cannot stand alone. They all have like overlapping similarities, you know, like it's a cosmic web, so to speak. But yeah, read lots of different books. And for a while when I was like off the internet, I was just like, you know, reading. And what really helped me, in the winter, I was doing puzzles with my mom. We did puzzles, and I felt like that was helping me just get out of bed and give me a purpose, even though I still wasn't feeling great. Because, I don't know, there's a fine balance. Like sometimes if I ruminate and I'm like too much in my symptoms, it's easy to, ew, there's a bunch of earwigs right there. I hate earwigs. Ew. I shouldn't say I hate them. I'm trying to like them more. I just don't like the name of them. And then I think about them crawling in my ears and like into my body. I like don't mind, like I don't mind bugs really otherwise. Like I like spiders and things. I love frogs, if you know, you know. I like spiders. I don't mind ants, you know, whatever. But earwigs, they're like my number one irk. Ugh. And yeah, so I was starting to do puzzles again. Or not again, but for the first time. Yeah, we were doing puzzles, and that was helping me get out of bed. I was really just like trying to just fall super into the like, I am healed, I am healthy, I am well. Because regardless if like, I do think it can be, I don't know if the word is like ableist, but it can, you know, I don't think this is like maybe a path for everyone. You know, I can't speak to everybody, and I do see how it can be toxic, and I do understand how it can not be helpful. But for me personally, I was like, okay, I need to choose the best way to deal with my situation. Like I need to be delusionally optimistic in order for this, like to make meaning of this, in order to like enjoy my life and enjoy myself, because I don't want to be physically feeling like this for the rest of my life or mentally feeling like this for the rest of my life. Like I always strive to like improve my mental state. And, you know, people can live with like so many different disabilities and still find joy. And so like, that's kind of where I'm living in. And like, part of me does believe that, no, I do believe that like I am healed. My body's just catching up, because I do think that a lot of it is like nervous system dysregulation and just like a constant state of living like not aligned with like me and my inner self and my inner world. Like kind of like, I haven't read the book, but the concept by Gabor Mate of like when the body says no. No, that's not the right title. When the body says no. Anyways, this is like, that's a whole other video and a whole other thing I need to make content about. But yeah, and then in June, leading up to June, I had a couple friends get married and different baby shower events and things. I also decided to start dating again, which I haven't done in like a while, and not as openly. Like I'm just very like open, and it's not even like I'm gonna find somebody on a dating app. I am just open to like, in a general, open to love in general. I think I really do want companionship. And I think that there's some things that we can only heal in relationships, especially in like intimate relationships. So that was also a thing. And yeah, and all my friends had these events. So I felt like I was really still focusing on like friends stuff for a while and like not focusing on my creativity or creation or my art or just like myself in general and like in an external way. Like I feel like I've been very like absorbing information and journaling and reading and in my inner world in contemplation. And now I really feel ready. I feel called to share and create, and I'm wanting it to come from a place of like joy and from a pull to create, not a push to create. I don't want it to be like something I have to do, but something that I want to do. And I'm finding those that like inner, I'm working out all like these, you know, these inner knots and entangling this in my own life. Yeah, so I feel like I'm just being more aligned with self, more aligned with my inner voice, both like the mental one and like the physical body one. I think getting really in touch with my body and listening to my body and also just like sending my body signals of safety is really important. And to like, and I think that's also all deeply connected with like your creativity and like not just like creativity in the sense of art, but just like creativity in the sense of life and like how we live our lives. And I think it's really important to like be connected to that sense of self, no matter who you are, because I think we are all creators. I know I've said that before. I think we're all creators. We're all creative. And like, because we're here, like because we exist. And now I guess I'm getting into the philosophical shit, you know, but I truly believe, I'm like, okay, we're all here. And actually a book that I read called The Book by Alan Watts helped me form this, but he's like, your ego exists. Like your ego is a part of you. And I used to struggle with like having an ego. I felt like ashamed that I had one, even though we all have one. And like, I think that this came to me probably in like my early spiritual readings. Like I read Eckhart Tolle and stuff, and I would just feel so guilty. Like people would feel like it broke them free, but for me, I felt guilt. And then I was like, oh, but it's my ego feeling guilty. And then I was like, oh, well, I have an ego. Anyways, this book called The Book by Alan Watts, it really like put things, the way he described things, put it into perspective for me of like, your ego exists. Therefore, like it's meant to be. Like everything that exists is meant to be just because of its existence. Like the way that, like how could it have been that the way that the cells split whenever ages ago, that like there became like single cell organisms became like double cell organisms or whatever. I'm not a biologist, okay? I'm not an expert in that. But my general understanding of biology, of chemistry, of physics, of like everything that we know to explain the world is kind of like of our human creation to understand it. But at the same time, like everything exists, therefore like it's meant to be because it exists. Like that point blank period, like you are meant to be here because you exist, because that is kind of, that's where we are. That's where our evolution has taken us, is to this moment in time of all of these things happening and everything existing. And I think what the crazy part is like when we're conscious, we can be conscious of ourselves, right? We can be conscious of who we are and how we exist in this world. And I think that is probably the ultimate like gift or like power, because we have the power to change our reality. I really do think that's true. And I think it all comes from, whether it's from, you believe it's from, that starts in the mind, like everything starts in the imagination or whatever it is. It's, you know, like we become co-creators in this world, in this universe. And I can also try and explain this to you in any, like, by all means possible. I can try and explain this to you. Everybody, I think, we've been always trying to explain the existence of the world and bring meaning to our lives. And I mean, these conversations are enriching. They're enjoyable to have. And it's not anything new. We've always been making meaning from our perception that we have of the world. And I don't know, I don't think there is such thing as a right answer, or like there is a correct way, or is there a correct thing to believe, because we each individually can believe what we choose to believe. And I think it's ignorant, although sometimes I fall into this. I'm like, I want to be right and I want everybody to believe what I want to believe, but like that's not really how the world works. The world works in a way that like we are all uniquely individual, and we all, even if you, let's say we both identify with the same religion. I'll just talk about Christianity. I was sort of raised Christian. I went to a Christian church and a Christian camp, and like I don't really align with the beliefs anymore, but obviously it shaped me in a certain way. But let's say I still was like, you know, I believe in Jesus Christ, I believe in God, and I was in that. Even within the church, everybody has different, you know, beliefs. That's why different, you know, types of Christianity have broken off into each other. That's why different religions somehow become created, because somebody's like, oh, well, I like this part of it, but I believe something different than you. And I'm sure within the church, within the micro groups of people around the world, people have different beliefs. Like I'm going to understand the way that when somebody says the word God different than they understand it. And because that, I mean, it breaks all down into like the semiotics of it. Like when I say that word, what does it make you think of? How do you perceive it? When I say, you know, a Subaru, what car comes in your mind? Like what color, what type of Subaru? Where is it like placed in the world? Like our imaginations and how we perceive is going to be unique to each individual. And each of our brains, we have trillions of, I think it's trillions of different, of like neural connections in our brain. I always think it's trillions or billions, and then I get confused. 88, we have 88 billion neurons in our brain. So that's over 100 trillion synaptic connections, right? That is a world of possibilities just right here, which is fucking insane. And then you think, I'm like, oh my God, think of how many like blades of grass exist like in this lawn that I'm sitting on right now. How many flowers are there in the world? How many like bugs and plants and animals? And each of our different brains have the same amount, like we all have billions of neurons and trillions of connections within ourselves. And then how each of those interact with each other, like it kind of just gets fucking nuts. And I really do think like just as far as we can go out into outer space, as deep as we can go to the ocean, we can go as deep into our minds, and I don't think it ever fucking stops. I think it is infinite. Whatever, like it is an infinite depth of information introspection that you can go deep within your brain. Like I've gone deep and I keep trying to go deeper, and I think there's so much there. And that is just like even the cognitive side of things, like all the synapses in our brains, like there's the way that our bodies function. Like I'm not making my heart pump right now, but my heart is pumping, your heart is pumping, I'm breathing, I am, you know, like my hair is growing, all these things are happening, and like they're outside of our control. It's just automatic. And I think our bodies are capable of so much beyond our cognitive understanding. Like there's so much happening, and just because like I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not happening. Just because I don't understand like the anatomy of a heart, I can't tell you the anatomy of my heart, but I know that it's there, and I know that it exists, and I know that it's more deeply complex than I can understand. Like if you look at science and research, like there's always so much information that is coming out. It's actually just wild. And I think I'm choosing to believe, because I think we get to choose our beliefs. I'm choosing to believe what I want to believe, and I want to live a happy and healthy life, and that's how I'm choosing to see the world. And I do think it's a reprogramming. It's a reprogramming from what I learned growing up, and a reprogramming of like the generations of like programming that our families have gone through. You know, like it's not. We pass on so much to our children. I don't have children, but obviously, you know, if I did have children, I'd be passing on stuff, and that's just how like birth works. That's just how raising a child works. Like it is the environment that they're in as well as the being that they are, and it all, there's infinite amount of possibilities, and so why not choose to believe the best possible outcome? Because ultimately we're always going to be in a box. We're always going to be in the shell of our body, in the shell of our being, and yeah, so why not just choose the best possible outcome? Why not choose that? Like, you can either choose, and this is, some of these are my interweavings. A lot of this is just all that I have consumed, and I'm spitting it back out to you. So, take what you want, leave the rest. But why not choose to be delusionally optimistic, to choose the best possible outcome? Because I believe in my dreams beyond my dreams. Like, I believe beyond my dreams. I believe that there is amazing, infinite possibilities that exist beyond my wildest dreams that I can't even imagine, because that is just how the universe functions. It is out of my comprehension, just like the way that my body functions is out of my comprehension, because there's still so much new research coming out. The same goes for the external and like the way the world works, because this world is fucking insane when you think about it. It's actually crazy that like there's a sky and there's trees, and the trees make a lovely wind sound, and the trees grow berries and fruit, and animals eat the fruit, and we eat animals and we eat fruit, and it just blows my mind. But yeah, you can either steal, and this is from Inspired Delusions, because if you don't listen to that podcast, you should, but you can either steal fear or something from the future. I can't remember what the other one is, but you can either fear is the same as stealing like that optimism from the future, right? Like, you can choose to believe in the worst case scenario or the best case scenario, and whatever you choose to believe is going to be true for you, right? Okay, I went on a little random, really long rant there. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm also, coming back to the internet and kind of contemplating the series that I did last year of like, You're Addicted to the Internet, and seeing that and being like, okay, no, I really want to transform my art into being more delusionally optimistic. And I'm looking at that point of transformation because, yes, I do think internet addiction is a thing, and I think it's a problem, but I also don't want to completely, go down that gloom and doom. I want to transform it so it can be something positive. So instead of, you're addicted to the internet because this isn't a phone, it's a mini computer, right? But being like, you're addicted to the internet, but that's okay, because the first step is recognizing that you have a problem, and kind of leaning into that route, still touching on, like, I think first I do have to dive into the problems with it, but then to shed light on it and like the positive ways, because I want it to be hopecore. I want to make art that is like hopeful as much as it is critical. I want it to be hopeful. Because I don't know, I think like you do have to go through the hard shit. You have to go through the bullshit to get to the good shit. And I know I've been through some hard shit. I've been through, getting sober was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And now overcoming this physical illness, I don't even know what to call this chronic illness, because it's been absolutely wild to, have these physical symptoms and then realize like how connected my brain and body are, and to have physical symptoms that like are so unexplained. And I do believe that everything in this world, everything that's happening to me is happening for me, because it's meant to be. Like I said earlier, like everything exists as it is meant to be, because it is. Like, that's the easiest way that I can explain it, because it is unexplainable. It's beyond words. It's beyond, like, I think my mental comprehension. But yeah, I want to make art that is tapping into that transformation, that point of transformation, that point of hope. And I think, in periods of art making, I think there's lulls, and I think lulls, or like there's periods of where you have to like take a step back and you have to consume and you have to like live your life. And then there's points where you have to express it and go full force in it. And I think I'm returning to that expressive period instead of, this constant monotonous creation that is expected of us from our capitalistic patriarchal society, and taking a step back to create instead of consume, but also create in a way that is like as best as I can without falling onto the treadmill or getting lost on the treadmill and forgetting that I can step off, like you can step off the treadmill. But yeah, I've got a lot of different projects going on, so that's what I'll probably talk about on here. It's a lot of different projects I have. Something I did recently on my phone. For a while I just had a picture of myself, but now I have different quotes that change every time I like tap it. Delusional optimism is the only way out. Everything is always working out for me. I am magnetic. The moment I decide to have something, it starts to move towards me. So yeah, I'm getting on that delusional manifestation side of the world, which I think is just another iteration of, the ways that humans have been trying to live for millennia. If that's the right word. Sometimes I use words and then I'm not sure if it's the right context, but I used it anyways. So yeah, I have that. I have this other little project called My Little AI Robot. And I don't know, I just like, this happens to me a lot. Like, right when I'm about to wake up, I have an idea and it like floods into me, and then I have to like write it. So I wrote this little short story about this like little AI, like My Little Pony that grew up on the internet. So it's kind of about my take on the kids that are growing up now online that like don't know a world without the internet, don't know a world without observation through our phones and through this connection, and how it is like a language, a first language, like, iPad babies. So kind of that. And then it's this like My Little Pony AI talking about how she designed something that like basically takes over the world. That's like the premise of it. And at first I was like, I have to draw. I like drawing some things, but like I just don't have the patience for it sometimes. So what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna like go find My Little Ponies and like do a little like pretend scene of it, like make a little video, which I think will be really fun. Also, I'll probably make a zine of it, of the story as well. And then what else do I have? This other project that I've had on the back burner for a while of using cigarettes butts to make a font, and the font title will be Cigarette Butts Are Made of Plastic. This started back when I worked for a Greener Future, because we did the butt blitz, which is, where we go around and focus on picking up cigarette butts and spreading awareness because they're made of plastic. And what else? I want to do this podcast. My Art Freaks, I think is coming. I think that's in the future, but I think I need to like just first focus on me and what I'm creating immediately, and like build that muscle and find kind of where my limit is, because I do think that like I have too many ideas for my own execution, and I know that, and I think that's what I learned last year with Art Freaks, is that I need support in doing certain projects, and I think that's completely okay. I think I probably should. I think community and collaboration is like really important, and I'm at a point in my life where like I have this opportunity. Like I'm living with my parents, and there are saints, like I don't have all the financial pressures that I had when I was like living with roommates or like traveling on my own and stuff. Like I'm blessed that I don't have to pay rent or pay for food. I'm just like taking care of myself in other ways, which is amazing. So shout out to my parents. And I think this is like an opportunity for me, but I think it's like I need to do this. It'd be like a disservice if I didn't take advantage of this in the best way that I knew how. I can hear a bug over there. I don't know if it's like a cicada or something, but it just sounds like something's crunching and eating leaves. It'd be kind of cool if it was something was eating a leaf and I'm just hearing them eating. Nom, 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 nom. What else? Cigarette butts are made of plastic. Yeah, I want to do focus on my content. So like doing maybe long form the long form stuff, as well as I think just shooting a bunch of like short form videos that I can post and just sharing my progress along the way. Like I'm going to be sharing lots of sketchbook stuff, completed works. I have some paintings that I'm working on. And I'm also realizing, I think this is the final thing I'm going to say, I'm realizing that the way I function is not like complete one project beginning to end. I'm leaning into following my heart and creating what I'm meant to create as I go along. And probably, yes, I need to like limit it. And I think I'm just finding that process and that progress and finding how that exists within me, because I find I need to like hop between things in order for the other things to be created. Like I can't just grow tomatoes, I need to grow tomatoes and basil and lettuce, and I'm making a whole garden full of my art, and it's not just like a monocrop, right? I'm not just art farming one monocrop. I'm art farming everything. I'm art maxing. Oh, bitch, I'm art maxing. I'm in my art max era. Skibbity toilet. Zubini Pizzanini. Oh yeah, I just made like a new website, which I haven't launched yet. And I thought it would be cheaper. Well, it would be cheaper if I don't add commerce to it. And I'm not sure I will yet. Because honestly, like I don't sell that. I haven't sold that much off my art. But yeah, just manifesting and art maxing my life away. This creativity muscle. And just like going hard because it's what is meant for me. Okay, I think this is the end. I'm gonna go eat some dinner. I'm gonna go feed my cat. He's over there. He's just contemplating. I'm surprised he didn't come over here. Bagheera, come. Oh, he's coming. Okay, maybe he'll come and then we'll say goodbye together. And who knows? I don't know when the next episode of this is gonna be, because this one is just kind of like speaking to me. Bagheera, come here. Oh, he's just staring. Can I turn it around? Look, there he is. He's just staring at us. But yeah, I don't know when the next episode's going to be. So, I mean, watch out for it and listen when you want to listen. You can like subscribe on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. There is a video aspect to this, and technically it is a podcast, but also this could literally just be a vlog, like I could literally just post this without editing it. And I actually might do that. I might start just having like a raw intro into my podcast and then simply uploading it, because that's easier than all the editing. The editing's hard, dude. Like, shout out to all the editors out there. The editing's hard. Okay, that's all. Peace and love.